Hello everyone and welcome to This Explainer. Today we're exploring a completely fascinating biomechanical hack, which is unlocking early communication with preverbal infants. This isn't just about teaching your baby cute party tricks, it's about fundamentally bridging a physical communication gap and connecting with your child months or even a full year before they can speak their first clear words. We've gathered some incredible insights, research, and practical tips from the source material, and we're going to break the whole shebang down for you. Let's get started.
We've all been there, right? It's the universal parenting struggle. Your baby is crying, they're frustrated, and you're desperately running through that mental checklist. Are they hungry? Are they tired? Are they in pain? It is basically a high-stakes guessing game. You're relying on interpreting these really broad signals, hoping you hit the jackpot before a full-blown meltdown happens. Most of the time, it feels like you're just totally in the dark. But signing actually removes that guesswork and gives them a direct line to tell you exactly what they need.
Okay. Let's dive into this and see the power of it in action. Meet Kiki and her 14-month-old daughter, Josefina. One day, Kiki was making a sandwich for lunch. Instead of whining or, throwing the bread on the floor like toddlers love to do, little Josefina simply shook her head and tapped her index finger on her fist. That was her sign for egg. She didn't have the verbal words yet, but she clearly communicated exactly what she wanted. Later that same day, Josefina looked at her mom and made the signs for hippo and play. Kiki was kind of confused at first, but later found out Josefina had been playing with a toy hippo at daycare. She was literally sharing memories of her day completely unprompted. Just imagine the empowerment there for both the mother and the child.
To understand why this works so effectively, we really need to look at the science behind child development. Specifically, we're looking at a concept we can call the communication gap. Long before babies can form spoken words, their brains are incredibly active. They have complex thoughts, they recognize objects, and they know exactly what they want. The problem isn't their brain, it's their vocal cords. Creating spoken words requires highly advanced fine motor skills involving the mouth, the tongue, and the throat. It's a hugely complex physical task. However, their gross motor skills, like the ability to move their arms, hands, and fingers, those develop much earlier.
And this brilliantly illustrates exactly how that gap plays out chronologically. Around 6 months of age, babies already understand many of the words you say to them, and crucially, they develop the gross motor skills necessary to make purposeful hand gestures. By 9 months, they're spontaneously pointing at things they want or waving goodbye. But it isn't until somewhere between 12 to 18 months that their fine motor skills finally catch up enough to reliably produce spoken words. So that means there is a gap of 6 months to a whole year where your baby knows what they want, has the hand coordination to show you, but physically just cannot speak.
Because of this massive developmental gap, the period between 12 and 24 months is notorious for toddler frustration and tantrums. Think about it from their perspective for a second. You know exactly what you want, you're trying your hardest to express it, but the giant people taking care of you just keep handing you the wrong thing. It's incredibly frustrating. They want to assert their independence, but they completely lack the verbal tools. Teaching them signs actively bridges this gap. It gives them a physical outlet for their thoughts and drastically reduces those intense emotional meltdowns.
Now, whenever baby sign language is mentioned, there is one major fear that immediately pops up for caregivers. It's a huge hesitation. Parents wonder, if I teach my baby to sign, is it going to make them lazy? Like, will it delay their speech because they just won't feel the need to talk? It is a perfectly understandable concern, for sure, but let's look at what the research in our source material actually tells us.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the contrast between the myth and the reality. The pervasive myth is that signing replaces speech, but the scientific reality is the exact opposite. Signs do not replace words. They act more like subtitles for spoken words. When you sign, you're making language tangible and visual for your child. In fact, studies show that children who use baby signs actually tend to learn spoken words faster and possess a larger vocabulary as toddlers compared to their non-signing peers. And here's the absolute best part. As soon as their vocal cords catch up and they can easily speak the word, they naturally just drop the sign. It is a bridge to speech, not a roadblock.
So the science is clear and the myths are totally busted. But you might be sitting there thinking you don't have the time or the energy to learn a whole new language right now. Well, the good news is you don't have to. It's actually incredibly simple to start today, right at home, with absolutely zero previous experience.
The golden rule here is simplicity. First, keep it to just 3 to 5 basic signs to start with so nobody gets overwhelmed. Second, and this is absolutely critical, always speak the word aloud while making the sign. Remember, we're creating subtitles. We're not replacing speech. Third, consistency is key. You don't need dedicated study time or flashcards. Just weave these signs into your normal daily routines, like during meals, bath time, or bedtime. And finally, praise any attempt. If your baby makes a vague hand gesture that kind of looks like the sign, give them a big smile and a thumbs up. Focus on the connection, not on perfection.
Okay, now that we know how to implement them, which signs should you actually choose for those first few? You really want to pick words that are highly functional. Don't start with colors or obscure animals. You want words that solve immediate problems and actively reduce friction in your daily life. Let's build your starter toolkit based on the strongest recommendations from our sources.
Here is your foundational list: eat, drink, more, sleep, and all done. Why these 5? Because they cover the vast majority of a baby's urgent needs and common points of frustration. If a baby can clearly tell you they want more food or that they are all done with an activity, you eliminate the guesswork entirely and instantly lower the temperature in the room. Let's look at exactly how to perform a few of these based straight out of the source material.
So the crucial point is how intuitive these movements actually are. For the sign eat, you just bring your thumb and index finger together, almost like you're holding a tiny piece of food, and move them towards your mouth twice. That's it. So when you're putting them in their high chair, you make this motion and say clearly, "Are you ready to eat?" You do it when you offer the food, and you do it when they are actually eating. Next up is milk or drink. Our sources highlight a really fun and easy way to remember this specific one. The mnemonic from the experts is, "Milk is good for everyone, so thumbs up." You literally just hold your hand with your thumb pointing upwards. So when you are preparing the bottle or offering a cup, you hold your thumb up and ask, "Do you want some milk?" It is a wonderfully simple, positive gesture that babies can replicate easily once their motor skills allow it.
And then we have what is perhaps the most powerful sign in the entire toolkit, which is more. According to our sources, this is simply pointing your index finger upward. Just imagine the difference this makes during playtime or mealtime. Instead of a child screaming because you stopped pushing them on a swing or crying because their snack bowl is suddenly empty, they can just calmly point their index finger up to say, "More, please." It gives them a tremendous sense of agency and control over their environment. It's a real game changer.
Now, a very common question caregivers have is about timing. Like, what if your child is already older than 6 months? The resounding answer from the experts is that it is absolutely never too late. Whether your baby is 6 months old and just starting to observe your hands, or you have a highly frustrated 2-year-old who is really struggling to get their words out, introducing these signs will help immediately. It provides an instant bridge to understanding, and you're going to notice a rapid improvement in your emotional bond as they finally feel heard and understood.
So we've covered the science, busted the myths, and given you the exact toolkit you need to get started today. By integrating just a few simple hand movements into your daily routine, you're offering your child a pretty profound gift. You're giving them a voice before they even have the words. You are literally replacing tears with communication. So, as you go into your next mealtime or bedtime routine, I want to leave you with this exciting thought. Which sign will your baby make first? Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and have fun communicating.